Good evening. I'm Tips Mahoy, and this is ArthIntel Evening Edition. Coming up, Iran aims to ban U.S. and Israeli ships from Strait of Hormuz and charge others a toll. Cambridge is reevaluating how they vet and hire senior academic staff after Jason Arday, who made history as its youngest black professor, was revealed as a habitual liar and plagiarist. View article. Lake Mead, nation's largest reservoir, reaches its lowest water level on record. That plus a check of the weather across the country. Iran's parliament is reviewing a plan to bar ships tied to the U.S., Israel, and other hostile countries from the Strait of Hormuz until Tehran is compensated for war damage, according to Iranian state media. The proposal would charge other commercial vessels tolls of up to 7% of cargo value, with fines of 20% for violations. Iran says it's finalizing a separate agreement with Oman on shipping routes through the strait, though Oman has not commented, and a U.S. official disputed Iran's characterization, saying any temporary routes would come with no tolls, approvals, or permissions. President Trump said the U.S. currently controls the strait through its ongoing naval blockade of Iran. Cambridge has announced a review of how it vets and hires senior academic staff, after Professor Jason Arday resigned this week amid mounting scrutiny over his personal and professional claims. But nearly 100 Cambridge academics have rejected that response, calling in a letter for an independent investigation into the damaging episode, including how the university handled misconduct allegations against Arday. The signatories say toxic and racist commentary around the case risks setting back progress on diversity at Cambridge. The university initially defended Arday as the victim of a vile campaign before launching an internal investigation and accepting his resignation. Jesus College says it will now drop its own separate review. Lake Mead, the nation's largest reservoir, has hit a record low water level. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, the lake's pool elevation dropped to 1,040.5 feet on Thursday, breaking the previous record set in July 2022. The Bureau also reports Lake Powell, the nation's second-largest reservoir, is nearing its own record low, with projections showing a new low could be reached this month. Officials attribute the declines to prolonged drought and record-low snowpack, affecting a basin that supplies water to up to 40 million people across 7 western states. ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. A federal appeals court has upheld an order halting construction on President Trump's White House ballroom project, ruling 2-1 that such a major overhaul requires explicit approval from Congress. The D.C. Circuit stayed its decision for 2 weeks, giving Trump time to appeal to the Supreme Court. Trump blasted the ruling in a social media post as horrendous, politically motivated, and unlawful, and vowed an immediate appeal, arguing the project is a matter of national security. The court majority clarified its ruling doesn't bar the ballroom from ever being built, only that it can't proceed without congressional authorization while litigation continues. The Department of War has revoked former Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall's access to classified information, effective immediately. According to Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell, the action follows what he called Kendall's unauthorized disclosure of classified information regarding Air Force One's capabilities to a media outlet identified as the New York Times. The move comes after federal agents reportedly subpoenaed 4 New York Times reporters over a story detailing alleged security shortcomings on a new presidential aircraft. Kendall served as the 26th Secretary of the Air Force during the Biden administration. Hunter Biden has told the BBC's Newsnight that the presidential pardon he received from his father was not good for the American people, the Constitution, or Joe Biden's legacy, even as he defended his father's decision to grant it. He said he was the most privileged person there is, and argued his father acted out of concern he'd become a target under the incoming Trump administration, insisting they never discussed the pardon beforehand. Biden also revealed, according to the interview, that his father's cancer has spread, metastasized into his bones and further, calling it very painful and very debilitating. He additionally ruled out ever running for elected office, saying he wants to focus instead on speaking about addiction and recovery. The Army has confirmed that Lt. Gen. Charles Costanza, commander of the Army's V Corps, has been removed from command nearly 2 months before his tenure was set to end. A service spokesperson says the circumstances surrounding his removal remain unclear. The move comes amid a broader shakeup under Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth that has seen more than 24 senior officers removed or sidelined. But a source familiar with Costanza's case says it was unrelated to that effort. Madge, Jen Thomas Felty, already Senate confirmed to take over in October, will now assume command with Brig. Gen John B. Mountford serving as acting commander in the meantime. ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. Trump Media is pulling back from its crypto push, scrapping plans for a publicly traded company that would have accumulated the CRO token. Trump Media, Cryptocom, and Yorkville Acquisitions say they mutually terminated the venture, citing prevailing market conditions and shifting business and stakeholder priorities. The news sent CRO tumbling as much as 5%. The companies are also abandoning a separate deal for Cryptocom to service planned ETFs from Yorkville, America, and Trump Media is scaling back plans to build Cryptocom-powered prediction markets into Truth Social, according to Axios. The U.S. Treasury has sanctioned 2 cryptocurrency exchanges, along with a network of foreign exchange houses. Shell companies and individuals, it says, helped Iran's shadow banking system move hundreds of millions of dollars, including funds tied to overseas oil sales. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said, the Iranian regime's reliance on digital assets and shadow banking networks is further evidence that economic fury is working, vowing to hunt down illicit financial networks, whether in dollars, rials, or crypto. It's the latest in a series of U.S. actions against Iran's crypto finance network, following January's sanctions on exchanges ZSEX and Zegshan, June's blacklisting of Nabitex, and last month's sanctions on wallets linked to Iran's central bank that led Tether to freeze about $131 million. A potential sale of crypto exchange BitMEX has fallen apart, according to a person familiar with the matter, as the company's shrinking business and founder ownership concerns gave buyers cold feet. The exchange was reportedly seeking a valuation of around $1 billion, though it's unclear if any formal bids were ever made, and BitMEX continued losing market share as trading shifted to larger exchanges and decentralized platforms. BitMEX pioneered the perpetual futures contract back in 2016, a product now widely used across the industry on exchanges like Binance, Bybit, and Hyperliquid. The company announced on July 24 it will wind down operations, halting new account registrations ahead of a planned closure on September 23. Both BitMEX and Exodus did not respond to requests for comment. ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. South Carolina women's basketball guard Maddie McDaniel is officially withdrawing from the university and will not return to the team. McDaniel first stepped away in July, citing mental health reasons, and head coach Dawn Staley says the program continues to support her decision, calling her a valued part of the program. McDaniel averaged 4.3 points and 2.7 assists last season, and was expected to take on a bigger role this year after Raven Johnson left for the WNBA. Her departure leaves the Gamecocks with 14 players on the roster and no true point guard heading into their season opener against Maryland on November 2nd in Paris. Aja Wilson celebrates her 30th birthday Saturday when her Las Vegas Aces take on the Minnesota Lynx, airing at 1 p.m. ET on CBS. The 4-time MVP more than any player in WNBA history is also a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and 3-time champion, putting her squarely in the conversation for the league's greatest of all time. Wilson already holds WNBA records for most career points and all-star appearances by a player before turning 30, surpassing legends like Lauren Jackson and Diana Taurasi. Asked what drives her, Wilson said, "My haters, I really do love proving people wrong. I love showing up as my true self and just making random people mad." ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. And finally, here's a look at temperatures across the country right now. It's hottest in Phoenix at 109 degrees, while New York is the coolest spot on the board this evening at 75. That's ArthIntel Evening Edition for now, 12 stories coast to coast. I'm Tips Mahoy for ArthIntel, signal over noise. That's the signal for today. Like, subscribe, and visit arthintel.com for complete coverage.